Imagine living in a town where putting up Christmas lights could get you fined, or where lighting your own driveway for safety becomes a legal issue. That's exactly what's happening right now in Castle Rock, Colorado, where a new ordinance has essentially criminalized everyday lighting.
You know what's fascinating about this case is that it really shows how local government overreach can suddenly impact the most basic aspects of daily life.
Let's break down exactly what this new ordinance, Castle Rock Municipal Code Section 17.58, actually does. The restrictions are so comprehensive that they affect everything from holiday decorations to basic home security.
Well, first there's this concept of light trespass. Could you explain what that means for our listeners?
So get this. If any light from your property crosses over your property line and a neighbor complains, you're in violation. It's like trying to keep your car's headlights from shining past your driveway. Practically impossible.
That seems incredibly difficult to enforce. How would you even measure something like that?
That's exactly the problem. But it gets even more restrictive. They've banned all blinking lights, flashing lights, revolving lights, and strobe lights. Think about what that means for businesses with open signs or restaurants with decorative lighting.
Hmm. And what about security lighting? That seems like a basic safety necessity.
Well, they've banned forward throw luminaires, those standard floodlights people use to illuminate their driveways or backyards. Even those basic utility lights that come standard on most homes are now prohibited if they're not properly shielded.
So essentially, the town is telling residents they can't properly secure their own property?
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. They've banned upward facing lights completely. No more flagpole lighting, no landscape accent lighting, and businesses can't even illuminate their signs or buildings properly.
That must be causing some serious concerns in the business community.
Oh, absolutely. Think about restaurants with outdoor seating, retail stores that need proper lighting for security, even those popular landscape lighting companies. Their entire business model is now essentially illegal in Castle Rock.
And what about cultural and religious celebrations? Many of those center around light displays.
That's one of the most troubling aspects. Whether it's Diwali, Hanukkah, or Christmas, these celebrations often involve lighting displays that would now be in violation. There are already civil rights complaints being filed about potential religious discrimination.
You know what really strikes me about this whole situation? The double standard between private citizens and the town itself.
Right. Castle Rock continues to host events like Jazz in the Park, car shows, and holiday parades, all using the exact same types of lighting they're banning for residents. The ordinance has convenient exemptions for government use, but leaves private citizens in the dark, quite literally.
That seems like a clear case of rules for thee, but not for me.
And here's another layer to consider. Castle Rock residents are facing a vote on June 24th regarding Douglas County's Home Rule Charter, which could give local officials even more unchecked power.
So this lighting ordinance could just be the beginning of more restrictive regulations?
Exactly. And the enforcement mechanism is particularly concerning. It's complaint driven, which essentially turns neighbors into lighting police. Think about the potential for abuse in that system.
That could really damage community relationships.
And let's talk about the economic impact. Local hardware stores, home improvement centers, seasonal shops, they all rely on lighting equipment sales. Professional lighting installers and decorators are seeing their business model essentially outlawed overnight.
Not to mention the impact on property values when businesses and homeowners can't properly illuminate their properties.
You know what's particularly ironic? This is happening in Colorado, a state that typically champions personal freedom and property rights. Yet here we have a local government essentially dictating how residents can use light on their own property.
So, what options do residents have to fight back against this?
Well, there's already a constitutional challenge in the works, and civil rights complaints are being filed. But the most effective approach might be through local political engagement, attending council meetings, organizing community responses, and making their voices heard.
And in the meantime, I suppose Castle Rock residents better stock up on battery operated candles.
Just make sure they're pointing downward and don't cross any property lines. But seriously, this case represents something much bigger than just lighting restrictions. It's about how quickly our basic freedoms can be eroded through seemingly mundane regulations.
That's really the key takeaway here. Sometimes the biggest threats to personal liberty don't come with grand announcements, but through local ordinances that slowly chip away at our ability to live our lives as we see fit.
Well, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on how this plays out in Castle Rock. It could set a precedent for other communities across the country. Remember, folks, sometimes the most important battles for freedom are fought not in Washington, but right in your own hometown.